Hello, here we are. We're going to show some of our new Jenkins pipeline process with Salesforce. Our starting point here is in Bitbucket, which is our new Git repository that we're using for Salesforce that we migrated over from our other subversion. So the normal process, of course, is our developers will be in, they'll go in, make a code change, and once they've completely finished that, done their testing, so on and so forth, they will take those code changes, commit to this Bitbucket repository, and as we'll see here, we've actually set up a lot more checks and balances compared to what we had in our subversion repository, much like PDE. So when they push and make a commit to this, they'll actually have to come in here and create what is called a pull request, basically to say that we're going to be pulling in these changes and then doing something with them. So they create a pull request. We've got one here that we'll use as an example. The pull request also acts as a code review for our Salesforce steps. Developers will get assigned. So as we can see, we've got me and Joseph Van Wagger, some of our developers, and they'll be able to come in here and look at the code changes that have been made along the way. A lot of this is new, so I won't show specifics, but they can come in here, review, look over these. They can come in, make comments and notes. Maybe if they find something that looks problematic, they can even put it in a task of something that needs to be changed before they'll consider the code review complete. Once that's all been done, all the tasks have been committed. One of those checks and balances that we've put in, though, is that you have to get two people, most of the time that'll be developers and or QA. You have to get two people to approve of the code review before you can do anything. So as we see here, it tells us this pull request can't be merged. Click for details. Those details are you need the two approvals and so on and so forth. So we won't actually do this. This is actually our production server that we're going off of an example of. So we won't actually do the merge right now. But in a normal process, we get those approvers, click merge, and that is going to kick off a webhook that's being sent from Bitbucket here to our Jenkins server that will actually start off a build and let things continue. So now we'll show this here in Jenkins. That webhook will come in here. It'll start this build on our branch master, which is essentially in Git our source of truth, what we'll consider our source of truth for the Salesforce pipeline. So using this as an example, we came in and had a successful build, as we see here, success. And we can go in, look at some of the details, how everything went, how everything deployed. And this also shows a little bit of our stages and how things went along the way as we went through that build. In this particular case, once we see that success, that means that the new code that we merged in the previous step, as we saw in Bitbucket, will now go into our dev environment and it'll be generally available for everyone to be able to do something with. Once that step completes, it actually will trigger off another build as long as things are fully set up. And as we see here, it will actually trigger this dev to UAT. And it will go through and try and do the exact same steps to bring that code from dev and also get it into our UAT environment where the bulk and majority of our QA testing is done and so on and so forth. So same thing here, we can see some of those steps. We get the retrieve code from dev, do some copying of things that are needed for the full process, and then we'll deploy into UAT. And just as we see here, we've had some successes in our past that we'll use for the example. Just to quickly show off here, we've got the retrieve code here, and then it will come down into our deployment steps. And so we'll see that with these in progresses. And this is actually showing our progress of Salesforce objects, fields, artifacts, and things like that that are coming from dev and now being put into our UAT environment. So as we see, we get to the bottom, deployment succeeded. And don't worry about these warnings, it's things that have already been deleted. So we had a full success, as we still see here, build successful. And that is actually at least the initial portion of our process. That is what will happen day in and day out for our developers as they complete code and these code reviews and pass all of these checks to make sure that we're getting better quality. Just to give us a small preview, we'll also have future changes that will better integrate and call our automation so that automation will run as part of this. Also other Static analysis is what it's called, that we'll look at the code and make sure that we're not making known mistakes and so on and so forth. So over time, we'll get even more changes that will get built into this pipeline that will support and make sure that we're having even higher quality code as time passes. So that's kind of our general, well, for one, shift to Git for all of our Salesforce development, and also a good chunk of our pipeline and how things currently work. Thank you. Goodbye.